Track 3 is Best of Me, which was a fun one to work on. I haven't done a lot of country. I have done some country for other people, but I've never had to deliver a country vocal myself before. And that was actually the hardest vocal for me on the record, even though it's not vocally like super challenging or anything, but just to try and get my voice to sound like a country singer, but have it still feel authentic and not sound like a caricature or like an SNL skit or something. So actually I worked probably, that vocal took me probably the longest out of anything on there. And then when Dallas came on board, and as soon as he sang on it, then it really got a lot more country. He really brought a lot of character to that. And that song I was hoping he would sing on, so I actually wrote that song with him in mind. So like I was always picturing his voice singing that chorus melody, and I was super stoked when he agreed to do it. And he did such an amazing job. He nailed that vocal, his vocal. We recorded that at the warehouse, and it took him about 15 minutes, and he looked like he wasn't even trying. He's a great singer.
Well, man, it's almost like it's written for me.
Hey, it was. Yeah, let's just get like, I don't know, what do you think, like maybe like 6 takes kind of thing?
Dude, whatever. I'll throw some more shit as we go through.
Sure.
The recording process on this song was it was quite different than any other, and it happened in a different way due to my procrastination, and it was due to me being intimidated about sending my raw vocal tracks to Josh Ramsay. So I delayed, and I mean, the pandemic happened and things got busy, but and I had to wait for some equipment to come in. So I have that defense, but it got to the point where we were actually recording an acoustic version of this song live off the floor, and I hadn't yet sung the real version of the song. So we had ran through the acoustic version a couple times, just for setup, I think, and then we said, hey, why don't we got the equipment, got the same mic, why don't we just plug it in and just give it a go? So he was my vocal producer for the takes. Just sort of thought it was gonna be done in my extra room in my house, but due to procrastination, I got to do it at the warehouse with Josh. Worked out.
I first met Dallas years and years and years ago, before the first Mariana's Trench album had ever come out. We opened for Default a bunch of times, and those guys were always super, super nice to us. And I was always really impressed with Dallas's vocals. Yeah, they were super, super nice to us, and they were like one of the first bands that like took us out to open for them.
It was Brandon, Manitoba, where Default and Mariana's Trench was playing a show together. And I remember sitting and watching in awe at the lead man of Mariana's Trench during sound check, and all the harmonies that we're all working on. And it's a completely different level from what we were doing as a band. So that was my first memory of Josh. But I think we had met at the Junos. I think at a Juno event.
It was like an outdoor street festival type thing. We were both done playing. I think someone else was playing, or I don't remember. It was like after, and we were all kind of like hanging out and having a few adult beverages. And I remember there was a very drunk guy that came up to both of us, and who was just like at the show, and he was like, "Wait, aren't you guys from that band? And you're from that band?" And we're both like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Well, what the hell are you doing here?" And Dallas just looked at him like totally deadpan and went.
He is constantly learning. He's one of those guys you just kind of look at and go, "You're good at all that, okay? Nice. What have I been doing with my life? Because how did you do that?" He's just one of those guys. You can tell he grew up with music, and I know the history with his mom being one of the most admired vocal coaches here. I've always admired that about him. He's a true musician, and an extremely fucking talented one.
I think as soon as Dallas came on board with that song, it really solidified it as sounding like a country song, whereas me by myself, I don't know if I totally could have gotten away with it. I did my best, but I think having him on there really added a lot of validity to it being a country song. And it was just a ton of fun to sing together too. It was just, we had a lot of fun singing together for sure.
There's something about the line, I've been depending on a surprise ending. I think that kind of sums up life in the music business. You don't know where it's going to take you, and you just hope, and you just kind of, you end up in a good place. I've always liked that line, and us singing that together I thought it was a cool moment. It's really cool how Josh had found that sort of middle ground for me, and really knows what would sing well for me, and to write that way for my voice. it was a breeze to sing, and it was really fun to be able to hit the gas where I could hit the gas, because he knew exactly where I could hit the gas and where, so it's a really huge project. It's a dream project. I can imagine putting something like that together, right? So to be involved in this was a huge honor right from the first email I got, and I'm glad I'm here, and I'm glad it's done.